What are you tweeting about?
You.
What are you
I'm
tweeting about?
I'm tweeting, got a chance to play MVCI. Gonna give my thoughts to BornFree with an interview. That's what I'm tweeting, and it's been tweeted.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
So exciting. We are at E3. It's BornFree here. Welcome back to my channel, and I am here with Sajam. He's looking like really good actually on camera. Yeah, you look good on camera, man. I look like a shadow.
The lighting is in my favor, which sucks because I don't know. I definitely need it more than you. So
I don't know what's going on. Like normally, whatever. Forget it. I think we should move on to like the questions because this guy has to jump on a plane. He's so busy.
I'm going to CEO in very soon. My flight's at 3. It's 12. So we gotta be quick about this. We've been trying to do an interview for forever. People might
forever.
You and I end up talking for 3 to 4 hours at every event, and all I think is that could have just been an interview. But
yeah, and then it's I got to interview this player all of a sudden out of nowhere. So it sucks. But now we are interviewing this big personality right here. It feels like you honestly appeared from nowhere. Like it does. It seems like it's been a year and you've taken over the FGC. Are you planning on running for president in 2020?
Only if my running mate can be a Tasty Steve. That's the only way I would do it.
Well, I'd vote for you for sure. Let's talk about commentary first. I want to understand how you got into it.
Okay, so I got into commentary basically because I used to make YouTube content. That's what I started with. So I was a YouTube content creator like yourself. And I mostly did it because when I first started playing fighting games, there was no tutorial content and nothing has changed. So I was like, man, learning fighting games is really hard. And I was so angry at the lack of tutorial content that I was like, I'm going to learn fighting games and then teach people how to play fighting games. Because I don't want somebody to start playing and feel like I did, which is that it's impossible to get into.
Yeah.
So I started making YouTube content, and that gave me practice in talking in front of a camera for fighting games. Then I went to Super Arcade a lot and played a lot of games there. And one day I was graciously let on to do commentary. A few months later, Vi was like, hey, I like what you're doing here. You should, I was on his stream for 5 months, and I don't think he ever knew. But he finally heard me and was like, hey, I like what you're doing. You should do this SCR thing for me, and then this and that. And it turned into that. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that I started a few years ago. I did 3 years of commentary for NRS games and for Killer Instinct before I ever touched Street Fighter. So a lot of people know me as a Capcom or a Street Fighter guy. But it's only been about a year of Street Fighter commentary and about 3 years or 2.5 years of other games.
I definitely knew you did the Killer Instinct thing. I knew of you.
The Killer Instinct thing.
Killer Instinct thing. That Killer Instinct thing. No, but I knew you did Killer Instinct. But certainly I think you've had this bit of meteoric rise over the last year or so, and deservedly so, to be honest, because you do a very good job. So talking of doing a very good job, there's probably a lot of people out there these days who are looking at the FGC and they think about things like commentary and they wonder how the hell could I do that?
Yeah.
Right? How the hell could I do that?
So my advice to people who are new to commentary is basically to practice as much as you can locally. If you don't have a local event to practice to, I'm very fortunate that I had Super Arcade open at the time, and now there's Wednesday Night Fights, which is why I still go to Wednesday Night Fights every week. It's practice for me, basically. It's my local for commentary, right? People go to locals to learn and level up in fighting games. I go to locals to learn and level up my commentary and practice. So it's the same kind of thing. It's a constant skill you have to work on. But if you don't have a local near you, my advice is to, if you're a Street Fighter fan, for instance, go on CFN, look up whatever your favorite player is. Take their matches, right? Record it with whatever software you have, and then talk over it. And that's the easiest way to practice commentary. You have millions and billions of matches to look at as a fighting game fan, so just do commentary over it. Go to the Combo Breaker Top 8 VOD, mute the audio, and do commentary over it to practice, right? There's a lot of ways to kind of sort of build that up. But yeah, I got into commentary originally because I felt like the people who commentated the games I liked were not representing it the way I wanted it to be represented. So I was like, I'm going to work as hard as possible I can to try and do a good job and be that person,
So when you first started out, you were doing that. You were practicing over you were looking at games, practicing commentary over games.
Yeah.
Were you recording yourself and watching yourself back?
Yeah. So I still do that. Every time I do commentary, I always go back and watch to kind of critique myself. I've never in my life done commentary and been happy after that I listened to it, ever.
Okay.
I've always been man, I'm such a moron. Why did I say that? I should have said this. That would have been sick. man, I dropped such a big opportunity or whatever. So yeah, it's a constant thing of learning and improving and trying to be the best you can. And I think the minute you stop that is the minute that people will notice and you'll be much worse at what you do. So it's like a constant grind. It's a job. You got to take it very serious and try to improve.
Yeah, so it's very similar to actually the thought process, the way people improve in actual games themselves.
Right.
It's like, I mean, one day I'll do a video about how like improving at Street Fighter actually helps you improve at life, because you take those skills into life,
Yeah, exactly. That's why for me, I like tackling things that I'm really bad at.
Yeah.
Like if I notice I'm very bad at a skill, then I try to learn it, because I feel like if I can overcome and learn something like that, then something that comes more naturally, I'll be like even better at learning. So yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I was always terrible on camera until like 3 years ago, and even then I was terrible, but now I'm slightly better.
Okay. And when you do commentary, one last question about commentary, I guess, is there like do you go like if it's Marvel, for instance, right? You got Marvel now, right? So you're gonna have to learn how to commentate Marvel, I'm sure, because we'll talk about Marvel in a second, but you're probably gonna want to commentate it.
For sure.
And is there a period where you sit down with like just literature? Like when I say literature, I guess like you're just looking at frame data, like.
Yeah. So to me, there's a lot that goes into commentary. Me and Steve, in particular, are multi-game commentators. Like, I've done Guilty Gear commentary with him, Tekken commentary with him. He's done KI commentary with me. Like, we've all commentated games that we're not as familiar with. But the key as a commentator is knowing your limits and being honest about what you can do and what you can't do. When I'm going to commentate a game, I take it very seriously. So, like, for Street Fighter, for instance, I watch about 4 to 6 hours of fighting games a day. Like 4 to 6, and then I play for about 2, and that's usually me testing things in training mode or trying to learn new characters. If there's a game, like if I'm playing Street Fighter and Ed comes out, I think, all right, well, I've got to commentate Ed, so I play Ed for a week straight.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to learn the character, trying to understand how he feels in the neutral. So that way, when I'm on commentary, I can give an authentic feel about how it goes. If I watch a matchup on commentary and I'm studying it, and I think to myself, okay, like I'm studying this super high-level matchup, let me play it and see how it feels from both sides, so that way I can try to understand it better. There's a lot of research and time that goes into every game, and now with so many games out, that 4 to 6 hours feels like not enough. So I feel like I'm going to have to step up more time. But yeah, basically, if I get back from an event like Combo Breaker I got back from, I missed Tekken Top 8 because I was commentating during it. I missed Injustice Top 8 because I was also commentating it during it. So I went back home, I watched Tekken Top 8, I watched Injustice Top 8, I rewatched the Street Fighter Top 8, and then I watched all the Kumite matches, all to like study because I miss Kumite. And so like it's one of those things where I'm constantly checking up on VODs, watching tournaments, keeping up on CFN, watching sets like that. It's one of those things that if a player like Tokido can play for 8 hours a day, why can't I study footage for a similar amount of time to try to be good, especially since he's focusing on one game and I'm focusing on like 5.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work, basically. What do you do when you're commentating a game you don't know much about? You just blag it? Like how do you blag it?
So I think the most important thing to me is be honest that you don't know everything. So don't pretend to be like, yeah, that move is definitely 13 and a half frames. It's probably +7 or maybe -9. I'm not sure. Like you have to be honest and say like, I don't know what that was, and ask questions. So when I do like Tekken commentary, I ask Steve like, how does this character approach this character?
Yeah.
So or I'll do stuff like if I think about a 2D fan like me watching this, they're like, I don't know what Kazumi does, and I'm like, well, Steve, isn't Kazumi kind of like a poke character? She has like, safe pressure. She has this mid move I see a lot. What is that? And Steve's like, oh yeah, that's her down forward 1, and it has this follow up. And yeah, she's kind of like a pokey defensive character, but she also has this. So like I try to ask questions to get him to tell people what they want to know, right? So that's kind of the approach you take as a commentator when you don't know a game well, is ask a lot of questions.
So there's a number of layers to it, right? So we've talked a lot about like the idea of understanding, practicing for commentary and all that sort of stuff. Then there's also sort of like, I guess, a stylistic element to it, like and what your role is and all that sort of stuff. So with you and Steve, I'm sure you probably have conversations which are like, that your role is this and my role is this, or you look back and you go, okay, well clearly my style is this, and like I want to push the positive. I don't know, like
so that conversation, learning how to commentate better is a lot like learning a fighting game, and in that aspect, like we pretty much have conversations daily, and I don't mean with just me and Steve, like me, Steve, and Rip. And everybody I commentate with, we talk all the time, and so we know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we tell each other stuff like, hey man, on this last block, I think you did really good at this, and like I think that was not good, and they'll be like, dude, I know, I should have done this and this, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Like we're constantly talking, so we all know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like Rip, between me, Steve, and Rip, right? The three of us have a very different set of skills.
Styles. And skills, yeah.
Right. So Rip, for instance, I think Rip out of all of us is the best at doing big moments.
Okay.
So you know when a moment is really big, oh my god, and Rip goes, and there it is, he wins, ELeague, he is the champion, he takes home whatever, boom. And if you ever listen to Rip commentate, he is the best at this. When somebody wins a match, he'll say, and Phenom wins the match, he moves on to the semifinals of the tournament where he's gonna play. Right. He's so good at setting the stage and building why it was so important that he got that win, right? So that's like a big strength that Rip has. Obviously, Steve is incredibly charismatic and his energy is super infectious. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest strength that he has. Like him and I could watch anything and he gets me hype about it. And that's probably my biggest weakness, is coming across super excited, right? I'm like more of like, I explain mechanics for newer players, right? I can break down the mechanics of the game and try to build those out. And I'm more of like the technical guy.
Yeah.
So between the three of us, we all have very different strengths and weaknesses, and we know what our weaknesses are. And so we try to, when we fit with each other, kind of like, okay, I know that I'm really good at this and he's not, so I do this. Like when I'm with Rip, I let him do every single big moment. I will never even touch a big moment. I'll just let him have it because I know that he's so much better at it than me, that I won't even try it. So it's one of those things.
Gotcha. Now, I have to ask about two things: segues and hair. Right? How did the segue thing start?
Shout outs to my good buddy Ringe. We were really sick of hearing people say shout outs. Shout outs to this, and shout outs to that, and shout outs to BornFree for making this interview happen, and shout outs to Capcom for. It sounds gross. It's really unprofessional. So, like, the thing is, think about when an ad slide comes up, right? The chat hates it because they're like, oh, I'm getting hit by an ad. But the commentators, we don't like it. You think we enjoy reading? Oh, and Arcade Shock has 10% off with code whatever. Like, it's not fun for us. It's not fun for you guys. It's a break from the action. So, you know, Ringe started doing this, and I try to figure out a way to expand on it and make it so that, like, how do you make an ad entertaining?
Yeah.
And I always think about the shorts that Cross Counter shoots for their ads and stuff like that. I always think it's more fun if there's personality in it, if there's energy. And people have told me, like, that they've bought products from these people because I made it sound so fun or made it like interesting and stuff like that. And the key is to always try to, like, when I get there, the first thing I do, so besides studying like for commentary, I study the ad slides. I'm like, what are the sponsors? Like, show me the ad slides so I know what they are when they come up, right? It's an important part of it. But I thought to myself, like, this moment is not fun for us. It's not fun for the viewer. How do I fix that? And I think segues was a good way to make it fun for and challenging for me to do, but also fun for people at home. And obviously the people who are paying money to advertise on this content feel like they got their money's worth when I'm like, and also check out how sick this is. Like, and they're just like, oh my God, listen to the way he's talking about our product. So a lot of people who work at these companies have told me they like it. Viewers seem to like it. I think it's fun to do. So I just think it's a better way to handle that kind of thing.
Fair enough. And then the why is your hair so perfect?
It's not perfect, and I don't do anything to it. Is the truth.
Was that just an ELeague thing? That just started an ELeague? I don't even know when that started. When did that start?
The hair thing is like, it's been a while because I touch my hair a lot on commentary, and the reason is that I don't put any product in it. My dad told me, he's like, yeah, look, the way to deal with your hair if it's not being responsive is just to run your hand through it and train it which way to go, which is like the craziest thing I've ever heard. But he told me that, and I was like, all right, let me try it out. So all I do is like, you know, it starts to droop and come down this way in my face, so I pull it back out of my face. And so because of that, I have to touch my hair a lot, and then and it's just normal, I don't know.
So your dad gave you the tech?
Yeah, it's normal white guy hair. It's not anything, it's just, you know, but I like it.
My hair is not like that. It's crazy. I have to put so much product in it, just that when it's not got product in it, it doesn't do that.
Oh.
All right, so let's move on anyway. Let's talk about the FGC. So, interesting time at the moment. It's really interesting time. Like, a lot of games, a lot of opinions, a lot going on in social media. Also, a lot of anger. Particularly pointing towards Capcom.
Oh yeah.
People finding it hard to like. What do you think is going on? Like, what do you feel like is going on right now?
So I think a lot of people are upset at a lot of things, but to me, I've always been a multi-game person.
Yeah.
I've never been a singular game person. So I think a lot of people, especially on the Capcom side, are really big fans of one fighting game, and that's how they are.
Yeah.
But like, to me, I've always played a lot of games, and if one game frustrates me, if I'm playing KI online and I get pissed, I don't like keep playing it and get angry at the developers. I just switch to Injustice, or Tekken, or Street Fighter. And I think a lot of people are in this cycle where they don't want to, they can't recognize what Capcom does good because they've done so much wrong, right? Like, there's so much that they've done wrong that people don't want to recognize when they do stuff that's good. And like, to me, I get it, and I feel for the Capcom dudes that especially the ones that you and I know, because we know that like the Capcom guys that we talk to are not the guys making the decisions you hate.
No, I know.
They're not, and they're working really hard, but it's like other people or places are making decisions that we don't necessarily love or they don't love. Like, especially I feel for like Combo Fiend, who is like, that man's in there designing the game and he's working hard and he's battling internally for like a year. Because come on, you guys know Combo Fiend. You think a lot of the stuff you hate, he thought was a good idea? Like, he's been a Capcom fan and a fighting game fan for forever. And like, I imagine Combo Fiend battling internally for like a year on something. They tell him no, it comes out, and the community's like, can I curse?
Of course you can curse.
They're like, fuck Combo Fiend. He fucked everything up. I hate Combo Fiend. And Combo Fiend's like, bro, I've been fighting a year internally to try to fix this. And now it comes out and I get blamed for it. Like, I feel kind of bad for him. But at the same time, like, you have to recognize how much wrong Capcom has done. Like, you got to be realistic about it. And every time I talk to the guys I know at Capcom, they're like, yeah, we know, like, what we're in control of, we're trying to do good. And like, to me, the things that they do well at, like the Capcom Pro Tour, they're all in charge of that and they do an excellent job. So
yeah, absolutely. Like, shout outs. No, I'm not gonna do shout outs, but I mean, Horns and John D and Damon and all those guys.
Matt Dahlgren, the legend. That guy is incredible at what he does. Yeah, there's so many people.
The esports side of stuff is like, it's great, and it's constantly evolving, and we'll talk about that hopefully. But like, since we're running short on time, I want to move on to Marvel before we come back to other stuff. What were your first impressions?
So here's the thing about Marvel. I can totally see what Capcom tried to do with the reveal of the story demo and like pushing that out, because if you think about Street Fighter V, one of the biggest complaints of a ton of people was there's no story content. So they were like, what should we show first? Let's show them that we worked really hard and we listened to them. We have story content. And everybody was like, Capcom, you guys are whack. I want versus mode. And I imagine Capcom was like, what do we do? Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. I get what happened, but it's like, you can't make everybody happy. I'm happy that there is story mode content. That's cool. But yeah, the game looks gross, right? Like, it doesn't look good.
It's not that. I don't think anybody can say. I don't think people have a problem with the story as much as they have a problem with like
looks.
It's the looks over and over and over and over.
Yeah, the way it looks.
Particularly Chun-Li.
No, yeah. I mean, it doesn't look great at all. I mean, who can say it does? Like, we thought Ken Face was an anomaly, but what we didn't realize is that he's probably in Marvel, and they just took his model from Marvel or something. I don't know. The game does not look good.
Yeah.
I got a chance to play it, and a lot of people have tweeted a lot of positive things about it, and they got to try it and everything. My experience with it so far is that I think the gameplay is really fun.
Yeah.
I think that the tag mechanic, so the way it works is you can do any move, any special move that you want, and tag.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it doesn't cost you any resources. So the thing about fighting games that makes fighting games fun is being able to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's why games, especially games that I like games where you get to do a lot of things. Like, you just get to do stuff over and over and over. Marvel is a game where you do a lot of shit. You are doing stuff constantly. You're doing like jump, whiff, air normal, shoot, airplay with Dante, tag to the other character, jump, air dash to the other side. It's a cross up, go low, boom, boom, do a special move, tag out to Dante. He comes in, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm playing Dante, but yeah. So it's like one of those things where it's like there's all this stuff happening. It's so quick. And one of my biggest complaints about Marvel that was in Skullgirls is Skullgirls, you can set your assist. Yeah. It can be any normal you want. It can be any special move you want. Anything you want to fit your team, right? And I always thought to myself, I was playing like Marvel, and I always thought, why does Dante not have charged up airplay as an assist, like diagonal airplay? Why does Dante not have acid rain as an assist, right? Like, why doesn't he have stuff like that? Why can't I do stinger and then tag him out? Why can't I do all these things, right? Why can't I pick my assist? And in this game, you get to do whatever you want. It's very freestyle. It's very free flow. Whatever ideas you come up with on the fly is really good. The combos feel really fun. The button layout is different than before, but I like it a lot. I think the gameplay is very fun. which is great. But it's like, I feel like fighting games, or I feel like any game, right? The package has to be complete. It has to look good. It has to play good. Right now, I think it definitely plays good. It's very fun. There's a lot of shit you can do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it feels really good. And I like the implementations of the stones a lot. I think that's another thing that you can just do. So you can like tag, you can do stuff, you can hit the stones. Like the gameplay feels awesome. They really wanted to make it crazy, hectic. I think anybody who feared that the game would not be crazy, like this version of the game is crazy. It's a lot of fun. It's very Marvel-esque. But it just doesn't look that good when you look at the screenshots. And when you're playing it, it looks fine. Not amazing, but it looks okay. But yeah, it's really fun to play. Which I came into it like not knowing how I would feel about it. Like,
that's why I wanted to ask you. Like, how were you? Were you worried? Like, were you like?
Well, like to me, this is the thing. I also think that I like playing Street Fighter 5. I like playing almost all fighting games. There's almost never been a fighting game. So the problem with me and Steve. And a lot of people will say this. They're like, yeah, everybody on Twitter is doing this or that, or they're all negative or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how come you and Steve are never angry or tweet like bad stuff about fighting games? And the real reason is that both of us are pretty positive guys. Yeah. Like, both of us just like fighting games a lot, and we just play whatever. Like, so I'm cool enough to play whatever. So I figured, like, the gameplay will probably be fine. It just looks gross. And I think the gameplay is fun. And, like, to me, I played a lot of Marvel 3. Like, my YouTube started with a lot of Marvel content, so I'm a big Marvel fan. And I think the game's a ton of fun. I'm really happy that characters I like are in it. But it's one of those things that, like, coming into it, I was very hesitant. A lot of the guys on Twitter were saying that the game was amazing. And so I pulled them aside. I was like, look, there's no Capcoms around. Just be real honest with me. What do you think? And they're like, dude, no. Like, it's really fun. I like it a lot. I think it's fun. I'm like, okay, well, let me try it. And I thought it was fun.
I have a theory on what happened there. Like, so they had these, like, tweets which were all caps, like, oh my god, it's amazing. Right. And I didn't think that, like, when I, because the first person who came up to me was actually Eli Joe, and Eli Joe's more of a Street Fighter guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, this game is, like, really good. And I was like, okay, he's telling me this, like, off camera, like, like, he's just telling me because he's excited. He actually had this excitement in his eyes. So I was like, all right, there's something to this. Like,
well, to be fair about Joe, he is also another one of those positive guys.
He's positive guy.
Yeah.
But I felt like what was going on with the all caps and the big tweets and all that stuff was not so much. I felt like it was a sigh of relief. I honestly felt like it was this huge sigh of relief. It was like,
you might be right.
Thank fucking, oh my god, everybody.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, everybody, this game is good.
Yeah, and I think that happened, like, a lot of people were really excited about DBZ. Look, a lot of us were tweeting in all caps about DBZ. I got a chance to play it. That game is sick. It's really good.
Let's talk about that in a second.
Okay.
I don't want to get mixed up.
Right, but I think because we went, like, everybody was so excited about DBZ and then came to Marvel, like, it was one of those things where I was like, man, after DBZ, I gotta go play the ye old Chun-Li face simulator. Like, oh god. And then we played it and we're like, wow, this is actually a really good game.
DBZ just came out of nowhere. Dude. Like, it's like, boom.
They were like a couple weeks ago it leaked or whatever. They announced it here and I was like, oh, cool, like DBZ
it wasn't
is
even
there.
A couple of weeks ago. I feel it was less than that, but yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, cool, DBZ is there, or DBZ is whatever. And then at the end it's like, playable at E3. And I, like, threw my keyboard out the window. I was like, what? Like, oh my god, I was losing it. It was so sick.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it in a second. Let me just finish up with a few of the Marvel things.
Okay.
Let's talk about. So what do you like most about what you've experienced so far in Marvel?
For sure, the tag system. I think the tag system is one of my favorite things that I can think of, like favorite mechanic in any fighting game recently.
And so, do you have confidence? A lot of people have been saying like the key word seems to be creativity. Do you have confidence that this game is going to be more creative than, Street Fighter 5 or give you more freedom to express yourself?
For sure. I mean, like, so creativity is the word I keep hearing about too. And when I say you can do anything in tag, it's what I mean. Like, the most basic. So here's the first thought in my mind when I heard about this tag mechanic. I thought, okay, I'm gonna pick Chun-Li, and I'm gonna pick my second character, Chun-Li point, second character like a mix-up character, air dash character, and I'm gonna run up to somebody. I'm gonna do jab, strong, fierce, lightning legs. I'm gonna tag on the lightning legs, and while they're stuck in blocks, then I'm gonna try jump.
That was the one Joe told me about.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to mix them up. Right. That was my first thought. But then I realized, like, it's so much more. Like, you can tag out during a super. So I'm playing Dante Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing with Hawkeye is I'm shooting arrows from full screen, and the minute I see them flinch, boom, I do Gimlet.
Yeah.
The full screen super, tag. Right. So it costs me 1 bar. Tag. Dante has like a full screen stinger. Right. His super far reaching normal. So what I'm doing is like wait for shooting arrows, chilling, movement, Gimlet, tag, stinger, and get a combo from like 3/4 screen, like an 80% combo off that. with like that team,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Right. And then I was like, man, that's really sick. That's like the surface level. Then I was like, wait a minute. And I did an incoming mix-up where I shot up arrows. So they're coming down. I tagged. I jumped over them with Dante and air dashed to the other side. And I had a mix-up off of it. And I was like, whoa, I'm starting to see stuff. And then I saw that Dante has a shotgun normal that's air dash cancelable. So there's shotgun, air dash into heavy, tag, go low on the other side. And I was like, man, there's so much. And it's all on the fly. It's really fast. So creativity is like a good word for it, I guess. But I would just say the openness to do what you want, which I think is very important in a game. It always feels good. Yeah, when a lot of people, what they like about Guilty Gear is the freedom to move wherever you want. Same thing with Tekken kind of, right? The ability to move wherever you want, the ability to do whatever you want, to not feel like some people think about games like Street Fighter are much slower, much more deliberate. But this is a game where you can fly, move, be wherever you want, do whatever move you want, and it feels good, you know? And so to me, that's what I think is most fun.
Yeah. I'm almost jealous because I was saying to you earlier, I think we were off camera, but I was saying to you earlier, I was here at 2015 for Street Fighter.
Yeah, I remember
and I remember, I'm not going to name the player, but I remember a very high level player playing it for like half an hour and just going, this is too simple. And I've got players playing this, and they're saying this has got all the freedom I need. And so like, I'm actually pissed.
Yeah.
I'm actually pissed about that. But I'm going to try and get into Marvel.
As a fighting game fan who plays everything, I'm chilling.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so I think we sort of talked about a lot of the things that we're pissed about. I say we pissed, the community's pissed about, you know, the things that we dislike about the game.
Totally justifiable complaints.
Yeah, I think so.
Totally justifiable, yeah.
I think so. I think the big thing is going to be, like, you and I talked about the importance of UX. The user experience, how it actually makes you feel when you turn the game on.
Right.
Like,
the UI right now is definitely gross.
The UI, yeah.
It's definitely not good looking.
But it's not even the full game. We want to see, like, the loading. We want to know the loading screens. We want to know the net code. We want to know, like, replays. We want to know, is there going to be battle settings or character select? Because right now it's character select. I hope that stays.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff we'll see. I guess we'll see, and then we'll be able to make a better judgment. Is there anything you want to see? Well, I guess this is kind of a silly question, but like for the future, I guess your priority at the moment, from what you've seen, would probably be like graphical upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I want it to look good. Like, if it plays good, that's cool. Yeah. But the game has to look good, right?
Yeah.
It has to be fun to spectate.
Yeah.
It has to have all those little touches that matter in a game. And, you know, I have no idea if Capcom will deliver or not. I really hope they do. But to me, like, if the game plays good, that's great. But there's a lot of other areas that matter. So I hope that kind of stuff is taken care of. My boy Dante, I think I made the same character in Tony Hawk's Underground. It looked just like Dante, the face and everything. I was like, man, my boy's not looking pretty. He plays fun.
He looks like he's on drugs. So let's talk about DBZ real quick. Dragon Ball FighterZ. So you played that.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about your first impressions.
So I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan.
Okay.
So I told this story to a lot of people. When I was a kid, Dragon Ball used to play on television, on Toonami. I used to watch Dragon Ball, and during the commercials, I was so hyped up. As a little kid, I would run into the living room, and I would summarize what's happening to my parents. So I would run out there, I'd be like, all right, Goku's on Namek, planet's exploding, he's fighting Frieza, shit's getting crazy. He's like standing there powering up, there's a spirit bomb happening, I don't know what's going on, it's crazy. And my parents would be like, that sounds great. And I would run back to my room, and then I'd come out and be like, nothing's happened for 8 episodes, but I'm sure it's gonna happen soon. And so that was Dragon Ball for me. So I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. When it was announced, I immediately turned on my stream and I talked about it for like 2.5 hours because I was so excited about DBZ, and I got to play it here.
Yeah.
And
tell me about that.
So the game is really fun. I like that. To me, it feels like it's very simple to jump into. It seems very like basic, where you pick it up and you play, like it's on controller there. I think you could play it on stick, but yeah, it's on controller, and it feels very simple to jump into. The inputs are like core circles, which are not that hard. There's like easy supers, which if you want to use something like that, but then the depth there is crazy because the assists are very powerful. Like, they have long cooldown, incredibly strong. And you can like call an assist. And Goku has this move, it's like core circle forward punch. He lunges, it's an overhead. And so you can do that move, but if you hit core circle forward and like heavy or special or whatever it is, he spends a bar and he lunges at you, teleports to the other side and hits you on overhead on the other side, and it wall bounces for a combo. So I would like call beam assist and you can't see anything on the screen. I'm just like, whoop, boom, teleport to the other side, instant transmission, overhead. Like, he has like crazy stuff like that, and there's solid mix-ups. Like, Boo has this booty drop thing that he does, like, where it just randomly, I was trying to block it, it was so hard, it just randomly hit me on one side or the other. Like, the game has dirt, it has cool combos, it looks beautiful, it looks fantastic,
yeah,
it plays super good. I think it's really fun to play.
The integration with the background is extraordinary.
Yeah, so like if someone shoots projectiles at you and you deflect them, it flies into the background and destroys stuff.
Buildings, yeah.
if you kill a character with a super move, it like shows the planet and it shows your beam shooting into into space. And when you come back, the planet is like destroyed and there's lava everywhere and it's like super beat up. There's so much attention to detail and love built into the game already that you can see, and it's a ton of fun to play.
So with that, I love. I'm terrible with words. You see, this is why I'm not a commentator. But I love it when I hear that there's love in a game. You know, like when it's built with passion. You know,
Yes.
I mean, you can tell when something's built with passion.
Yes.
Built with love. How true does it feel to? Because I skipped Dragon Ball Z. I'm going to catch up on it. I'm going to catch up on it because I want to play this game. I skipped it because I'm older than you, dude. Like, it just wasn't. I was doing other shit. But like, how true does it feel to the cartoons that you watched?
Incredibly true. Like, even the little things about characters and their moves that they do, and like, it's crazy. And there's a lot of moves even that they took from old DBZ games, like stuff like Budokai games, stuff like that, which I played as a kid and I loved. But it feels very true to the show, and the aesthetic looks amazing. Stuff like when Gohan shoots his beam and Goku is in the background, like, oh man, you didn't watch Dragon Ball at all. You won't. The people at home will understand the father-son moment that happens there is absolutely magical. Like, Gohan and Goku together is like crazy. When I saw that, I was like, oh, there's so much love and effort put into it. You can tell. I haven't seen DB's Dragon Ball Super yet, which is like this new thing that's happening, and Gold Frieza's in it, and I saw Gold Frieza in the game, so I'm going to start watching Dragon Ball Super now. Okay. I wanted to wait until there was a sizable amount out, because I'm going to binge watch like 40 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like 90 episodes out now, so I'm going to catch up. But yeah, like, to me, it's very faithful, and it looks awesome. Like, when you like clash, there's a moment in DBZ where they both start punching each other, and they're like deflecting and throwing back. It's like, when I saw, so Steve and I are playing, there's a video of it. When it happened, we both just started screaming. Like, we both just go, oh! We just started screaming. It was the craziest thing. We were cursing like sailors. I'm surprised Bandai Namco didn't throw us out, because we were just not, we were losing it. And like, the longer we played, the more we were just like crazy. We couldn't believe how fun it was. So yeah.
So Flow, there's a couple of different people who have said it's kind of like Budokan, or is that the game?
Budokai, yeah.
Budokai, and then Flow said it was like Skullgirls, and then Sonic Fox said the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. What's your thought? Like, if you were trying to prepare for this game, like, are there other games that feel similar to it?
Yeah, to me it feels a lot like an anime game, even though there's assists. I think Skullgirls is a good mix of like anime and Marvel-esque assists, so that's probably a good baseline. Steve mentioned Melty and Arcana Heart. There's a little bit of Guilty Gear and maybe BlazBlue in there too.
I've heard Arcana Heart as well.
Yeah, Arcana Heart I can definitely see. There's also like this homing dash move thing that kind of looks like it's straight out of Arcana Heart.
Dragon Rush?
Yeah, Dragon Rush, yeah. So I think that's
I know my shit.
I think it's in the game, you know, it's not, alright, whatever.
It's the name of a button.
Whatever, bro. There's a lot of stuff like that. I feel like there's a crossover from a lot of games. If you play anime games, you'll probably be pretty comfortable playing it.
Definitely, the people who've been talking about the game are the Arxis. You know, like when I see stuff online, the people who have been talking about, like, the mechanics of the game have been talking about it in that language that Guilty Gear guys speak in. Yes. Which is the one I don't understand, which I'm going to have to get used to.
You should go watch the recipe on Cross Counter. There's a great Guilty Gear tutorial there featuring myself and Tasty Steve.
This is a good segue, but I still want to ask you questions about DBF. So before we use that, so we're not going to use that segue. Okay. It's a good one though. So is there anything? It's only 20% complete, right? So. But it's blowing people away. Yeah. So this is probably a difficult question, but you're a smart guy.
I got the answer.
Yeah, have you got the answer? Is there anything that you want to see? What do you want to see from this game?
So, what I want to see but not see is a massive roster. One of the big problems, I think, with the other Dragon Ball games is that they're not really, like, supposed to be competitive fighting games or anything like that, right? They're just, like, games where you have, like, 80 characters and, like, 90% of them are palette swaps.
Okay.
So I really hope that in this game, it's not like a ton of palette swaps. Like, I think DBZ has such a huge roster of characters that you can pick from, and I hope a lot of them are in the game. And I hope that there's a lot of depth there, but I'm worried if there's like 80 characters and a lot of them play the same. I don't think that would be as fun to me. I think they should do it because it would be great for like a casual consumer who just wants to play all their favorite characters. But for me, I hope that they all play a little different. You know what I mean? Is kind of the way that I think about it. But that's one thing that I'm afraid of. The sickest thing about it is there's only 6 characters in the game. They all already have like 4 different colors you can choose from.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And they all like they look like Teen Gohan, with a white outfit and white Cell as the team I was playing with Frieza, and I was like, this looks so sick. I couldn't believe how cool my team looked all together. So like, if it's only 20% complete, that absolutely boggles my mind, and I can't wait to see what the game looks like with like a 40-man roster, or maybe a 70-man roster, or how many like, you know, characters they have in it. I just hope that the characters all play a little different, and I honestly think it's super fun. I know that they'll do the right thing, and I trust Bandai Namco and the team working on it to do a good job. If this is what they showed us to start with, then I think where they end up should probably be a good place.
It'll be interesting to see if they push it towards esports or not, or if they just keep it fun.
I mean, to me, like, if it turns out to be competitive and fun, that's cool. If it turns out to be a really fun Dragon Ball game that you can play, that's cool too. But I hope they don't push it towards it. I hope it's just like, the game is really sick, but there's also a competitive side if you feel like doing that.
Right, it's not a party game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so you did the segue already, sadly, but let's talk about the recipe, right? I wanted to ask you about it. I've watched a few episodes, and one of the ones that I actually kind of really enjoyed was when you actually paused for a moment and you were like, because it's like you're both playing these games, and in some ways, like for instance, Steve is introducing you to Guilty Gear, I think, at one stage, and you're like, pause button, like you really need to slow down and explain some of this stuff to me. And that's not like when you watch Cross Counter, that doesn't really happen because it's just Street Fighter. You introduced that. I'm sure you probably made a decision on whether to leave that in the edit or not. I actually thought that it was quite refreshing. I guess my overall question is, with the recipe, what's your goal with the recipe?
So Steve and I have always been fans of other games. Like, when I first started playing fighting games, it was with Killer Instinct and Injustice. And the whole stigma about those games is that those games are whack. Why play them when Street Fighter is the greatest game of all time and there's no reason to play anything else? And that's the attitude. If you guys don't remember what it was like, 3 or 4 years ago, that thing was like, man, NRS game is whack, the NRS community is whack, KI is on Xbox, I hate Xbox One, those guys are all trash, those games aren't even good, I'm just going to play Street Fighter and it's great. And so that attitude is what I grew up with playing fighting games and getting into the scene, and I absolutely despise that. I think that's the worst possible attitude you can take, and I think that, to me, it's important to realize that we have a ridiculous amount of good fighting games out, and that you should support them. There's Street Fighter and Marvel coming out, right? There's Guilty Gear and Tekken and Injustice and 50 other fantastic fighting games that you can get your hands on, right? And so to me, it's like, why would you like have that clouded kind of idea? So we wanted to create a show where, there's not a lot of resources to jump into other fighting games. So the first episode of the recipe is Steve playing Guilty Gear Online, and he's destroying people, and we're having a blast. We're just sitting on the couch. Next episode is him teaching me, and it's a beginner's guide to Guilty Gear, and it's like, I'm the Street Fighter guy learning Guilty Gear, and so if you're just like me, you don't know where to start, you can see that throughout the episode, I don't know anything. And by the end, I know enough to beat a guy who's pretty decent, right? Like, I learned throughout the episode, and by the end, like, I'm taking that. And the biggest message I wanted to send was, like, that learning a new fighting game, especially, like, if you know one fighting game especially, it's not as hard, but learning a new fighting game is difficult. And it takes a certain skill set. And Steve and I have done it a lot, but a lot of people have learned one fighting game, like Street Fighter 4, and jumped to Street Fighter 5 or something, right? They've never experimented learning a new fighting game, and they don't know how difficult and daunting that can be. And my biggest advice is to play and learn. Play to learn, right? Don't play to win. Winning will come with learning. And as you learn more, you will become better and you will win. But what matters is playing and learning and understanding and having fun the whole time, and to explore these other games that I think a lot of people for a long time were very negative about. And it always frustrated me. It's like I had to infiltrate the Capcom community and become a Street Fighter commentator so I could convince other people to play the other games. It was like, I feel like I'm Solid Snake or something. I had to sneak in here and just knock some people out. What was that noise? Like, it was crazy. But like, to us, it's a good opportunity to show off other games, and I think that so far we're pretty happy with it. The next series it got announced today. There was a trailer. The next two we're doing is Injustice and Tekken, and I already saw people in the comments saying, I can't wait for Tekken. Injustice is whack. I probably won't watch it, but I can't wait for Tekken. I'm like, this is the attitude that made you not play other games and enjoy them for all those years. So be willing to try it, My rule is that if I see a new fighting game or like whatever's at EVO, I will watch a top 8 for any game and give it a shot and see what I think about it before I judge it, That's what kind of my thought process.
So you're moving on to another two games in the next, I guess, season, right? is there any limit to the number of games that you're going to be covering? Are you just constantly going to be moving on, or are you going to come back, revisit? Like, what's the deal? Like,
so it just turned out that the games that we covered happened to be pretty popular at the time, and now Tekken and Injustice came out. But our plan is to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like, sometimes if we feel like playing, Guilty Gear and we feel like playing Tekken, then we'll play Guilty Gear and Tekken, right? If we feel like playing a whole series of Guilty Gear, like only Guilty Gear, we can do that. If we turn out to say, you know what, today we want to play Street Fighter, we can play Street Fighter, right? It's one of those things where it's like, we'll play, if there's new stuff, we'll definitely play it.
Yeah.
But we're just going to rotate through all the different games and kind of try stuff. We have some guests lined up for the other games that we really want to bring in. Like, that's one thing we like a lot about the Cross Counter series that they have right now. The Reeds and Excellent Adventures are very focused around a guest. Yeah. But Steve and I wanted to kick it off with just the two of us for a while to get people warmed up to it. And now we're going to bring a guest. We're going to bring some guests in. We have some good ones planned. Good. And I think people will really like it, especially the Guilty Gear guests. I think people will absolutely love. But yeah, we have some stuff like that.
I was thinking in my head, like Guilty Gear, I have no idea. Like, who's going to come in for Guilty Gear? There's a few thoughts in my head, but I don't know. Like,
you probably won't guess it. But that's the thing is we have some ideas for that kind of stuff. And Ryan and Mike have been very supportive about the show. I mean, it originally happened. Like, I don't think I told you, but they brought us in to shoot an episode of Excellent Adventures, and at the end they're like, hey, we want to try something new. At the end, we want you guys to just shoot an episode with just the two of you guys. It was just a new format we're trying, right? And Steve and I were like, whatever, we're up for whatever. We just like playing video games. So we're like, that sounds great. So we did it. And then at the end, they're like, let's talk. And that was like a test run, and it turned out to work. So it's one of those things where, like, Mike and Ryan have been very supportive, and they're pretty much open with whatever we want to do with the show. And they trust us to do a good job, which I appreciate immensely. So I just hope people like it.
That's great. All right, so let's do the general section, because the general section is pretty cool. So you do this? Do you just do this full time? Is this like your job? Like, because you said you do 4 or 6 hours of every day. You're like researching, and then you come out to all these different events. So like this is your full time job, right?
Yeah, Steve and I made a commitment last year, and I think we're the first 2 people in fighting games to try to do commentary full time, like strictly commentary, because both of us were at that point where, like, we could try it for a few months, and if it doesn't work, then, whatever. So it was one of those things at West Coast Warzone. Mike Ross told us, if you guys don't do it, somebody will. Like, somebody has to try this. Yeah. And if you guys do it, like, it might work. So thanks to him, and especially Rick, the Hado, and Chris Seglia, the 3 of them are super helpful, and they're a big reason that we could do this. But we decided to try it, and I basically had enough money to live. If I didn't make any money, I could have lived from West Coast Warzone in April through EVO.
Right.
And I was basically like, all right, I have to make this. We had to make this work before EVO, and we were working for like pennies and just doing every event we could. We were willing to do any game for any amount, and like it was just rough. This year is definitely better. Yeah. Like this weekend was the one right before E3 was the first time I haven't traveled in 13 weeks.
Okay.
And 4 of the weeks we traveled, on those 13 weeks we did 2 events.
A lot of travel. That's tough.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where we're very busy, but we're really happy with what we do, so it's okay to be busy,
Yeah. I guess if you're happy with what you're doing, although I find traveling really hard. I kind of like need a home base.
Oh man, I slip into that plane seat, and it's just like.
Maybe the plane is your home. Maybe that's your safe place.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
That's where you recharge.
Yeah.
Right? That's cool, man.
I get a lot more sleep on planes than I do at home, for sure.
Wow. That's amazing. Actually, there was one thing I did want to ask you about ELeague, like real quick.
Oh, cool.
I've talked to ELeague, a lot of the players. They talked about this amazing experience, how they were treated like gods and all that sort of stuff, and blah 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 blah. I want to talk to you a little bit about like when you first got the invite.
Yeah, I got a call, and it was like, how would you like to commentate video games on TV?
Yeah, I knew that. And that'd be the sell, right?
Right, that's like the sell. And to me, I love ELeague. I love the people at Turner and TBS, so don't be mad at what I'm about to say. I don't care that it's on TV. To me, it doesn't mean like a ton. Like, I care about doing cool stuff with the fighting game community, whether it's on Twitch or television or whatever platform it is, like a YouTube or whatever the stream is on. Like, I'm cool with doing a cool product. So I was like, well, if it's on TV, that's cool. But the biggest thing that I said from the get-go was we have to still be able to do all these community events in between. Like, the most important thing about fighting games is I don't want to do ELeague and not be able to do NCR DreamHack and Combo Breaker and all these events, right? That's what we care about too. And ELeague, as you guys have probably figured out, were super open to making that happen. They're like, oh, well, look, we don't want to get in the way of community events. Like, here's the schedule. Can we figure out a way to do this? And we were like, yeah. And they're super helpful to work with. They were very, very friendly to us the whole time. And I love working with them. Like, they're a really cool bunch to work with. And if I got an opportunity to do it again, I would. But I was very apprehensive at first. I almost didn't want to do it because I was afraid I would miss too many community events.
Okay.
And to me, like, being on TV is great. It's really awesome. My family thinks it's cool. But at the end of the day, right, I care about doing cool fighting game events.
It sounded like you guys actually got like a lot of chance to input in the way that it evolved, because I could imagine some apprehension also in like how esportsy is this going to be, what is it going to be?
Right. So it's one of those things where we had a production meeting every day that we were there.
That's what I heard.
And so we had a production meeting, and they would say, hey, here's the rundown for today. What do you guys think? And we would give our input, and they were very, very helpful about it. One of the biggest ones is right when it started, right? The format was like one match break.
Yes.
And we told them, like, you can't do that in fighting games. Fighting game players are actually very spoiled in the sense that we get a lot of content with a very minimal amount of breaks compared to other games.
Oh, really? Okay.
So if you watch a lot of other esports, you probably know, like in esports, it's like match break. And those matches are a little longer than fighting games, but in general, there's a lot more breaks than in fighting games. In FGC, it's a little different. You get a lot more content generally. So we told them that, and they're like, well, it's the format we use for CS. We believe you guys, but let's try it, and if people really hate it, we'll switch it. And that's what happened. They said, all right, you guys are right. We'll change the format. And that's how the conversation went. It was basically like, it's not that we don't trust you guys. It's just that this is what we're familiar with.
Yeah.
And so we want to try it, and if it doesn't work, then you guys are right. And it was one of those things where we came in there like, yeah, you guys were totally right. Let's just switch it. And we're like, okay. So it was one of those things where the feedback, they're very good about listening to us the whole time. And, it was one of those things where we tried to make it cool to the FGC. I know a lot of people didn't like some things about it or whatever, and that's okay. But, it's one of those things where they tried and they listened to us, and we tried to make it a cool product, and hopefully people liked it.
Well, in that vein, do you feel like I think that people did enjoy it. I think Gutex actually had one of the best answers, was like, they said, is it authentic? And he went, no, but is it fun? Yes, it is. And so I thought that was interesting. It felt like an experiment in many ways. Do you have thoughts on like where you would like to see, I guess, like an ELeague or esports, I guess, go in terms of fighting games?
I mean, I think what they did was a really cool idea. I mean, if you change the format a little bit, right? I think a lot of people had format concerns. If you change the format a little bit, I think that, to me, it was really good. I think the numbers were good for viewers and stuff like that too. Everything else fine. Yeah. And I think, like, from what I gather, they seem very happy working with fighting games compared to everything else they've done. They're like,
they're doing Injustice now, I think, right?
Injustice. They announced the Injustice finals are going to be on ELeague. I'm not sure in what capacity, but that's really cool. To me, the fact that they're doing more fighting games is great, because even if, like, it's not, like, if you're a Street Fighter fan and you're like, oh, they're doing Injustice, that sucks. But, like, it's cool for other parts of the community, Yeah. So to me, like, I hope they continue to do fighting game stuff, and if they will, I will support them as long as they do stuff that, like they did before, and I think they'll be true to that community, the Injustice community as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with it. A lot of esportsy type people have stepped into the space before, and they've not always done a great job, but I think ELeague they had a good first try, and I think if they do it again, it'll be better, and if they do it again, it'll be better. And people like them and ESL and Red Bull put on events that I think are really true to the FGC feel, but have just a little step above in a lot of ways in terms of like the budget they have to make it happen.
I do love the Red Bull stuff, actually. I think the Red Bull's doing it really, really well. I thought ELeague did it really well. I think they're all doing a great job at the moment. I think they're all learning off of each other and trying to progress, but they're also kind of, in a way, like they got their own taste and style. Yeah,
and I think the cool thing is that they're always asking for feedback. They're always like, what can we do better? What can we do worse? And stuff like that. I mean, even Red Bull Battlegrounds last year, I said it was my second favorite event, and I told the Red Bull guys about it, and they're like, how do we make it your first favorite event? That was like their answer. They're like, how do we make this better? We want to do better. And I was like, you guys did an amazing job. And they're like, but it was your second favorite event. We got to make it better. And I was like, all right, well. So they're like I think all the people that work on those events are great. And I mean, even at ESL, they do the King of the Hill events, and those are super fun. And I think they're really cool to do.
Yeah,
so.
they are actually. I almost forgot to talk about Street Fighter. Let's talk about Street Fighter. Okay, real quick. direction that it's heading in. It's had a number of updates, right? There's a fair amount of controversy surrounding it.
Oh yeah.
What do you think the developers are going for? Do you feel like you know what they're going for in terms of like the direction they're going in, and do you like it?
My thoughts on this. So I think a lot of people don't have perspective about it. So like as somebody who plays a lot of games, I played Injustice. That's what I started with. Injustice 1 was a very slow, zoning-heavy game. Footsie isn't zoning. People were angry that it was so slow and boring. So MKX came out, and what MKX was offensive, 50-50s, very fast. And people were like, this game is so stupid. 50-50s on offense, we want zoning and footsie. So Injustice 2 comes out, and NRS is fine. It gives you zoning and footsies. People said, oh, this game's so slow, zoning and footsies. And it's like, people are complaining about what they want, right? And I think Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 is the same thing. In Street Fighter 4, people hated the knockdowns into the vortex, right? They hated when you knocked down, it felt like you were just stuck. And delayed wake up was an okay solution, but not a really great solution, right? It sort of helped. People hated crouch tech. They hated how many defensive options there were: focus backdash and regular backdash and Dragon Punch FADC and all these different options that you could use to escape. So Capcom said, all right, now if you try to crouch tech, you get stand tech and all this stuff. So if you look at Street Fighter 5, the things that they did to change it from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 were like exactly what people wanted. It's just now people are angry at the stuff that's in there that they really asked for in a lot of ways. And like, that's not the people's fault, and it's not Capcom's fault necessarily, right? It's just the way this stuff goes. Like by the end of Street Fighter 4, people said it was super boring and that it wasn't fun to watch and that Elena was whack. You guys should all remember this, right? Like
I remember the Elena stuff.
Yeah, people were talking about...
DiCaprio annoyed me as well.
Right, yeah, DiCaprio was super frustrating to watch. He was just...
Very boring.
Right.
Like, Infiltrations DiCaprio was boring.
Oh, super boring. He whiffed jab and then did teleport. And he whiffed 2 jabs and he did teleport. Like, it was not much... There's not a lot going on, right? Then, like, in Street Fighter 5, people are like, man, it's just no thought, mindless offense, blah, blah, this, instead of the defensive stuff in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
And so it's like a direct reaction to it. And, like, to me, it's like, I don't know. I like playing a lot of styles, so I think it's fine. I get what people complain about. I think there's validity there, that maybe it swung too far from this way to that way.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, like, I have perspective. I've played a lot of different games. I know what it's like. And people they're very, like, they have these rose-tinted glasses. I saw people saying stuff like Balrog and all the Season 2 characters, which, like, Balrog, like, last patch, right? No, I don't know about this patch. Last patch, I didn't think he was, like, I thought he was at, like, maybe the bottom of top 5. If you look at his tool set. And a lot of people were saying that Balrog was better than all the Season 1 characters. That, like, Season 1 Chun would just not be able to fight Balrog, and all the Season 1 characters are so much worse than Season 2. And I'm like, do you, like, look at the changes? Do you remember what Season 1 was like?
Yeah.
Like, people don't remember what Season 1 was like. People don't remember what Street Fighter 4 was like. There's not a lot of, like, looking back critically. There's just complaining about what exists now, which I get. A lot of I have all the same complaints. When the patch notes dropped, the first thing I said is Balrog is a mistake.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I said. Balrog is a mistake. I don't even think he's the best character in the game, and I still think he's a mistake.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do, right? Those are the changes. If you don't like it, you play a different game. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But not everybody feels the same way, and they have a more commitment to Capcom and Street Fighter. So I get that. But yeah, it really feels like Street Fighter 5 answered a lot of the stuff that people didn't like about Street Fighter 4, but too much. And I think that if they can swing it back and kind of find a nice middle ground, then it would be good. But yeah, there's a lot of complaints that I have that everybody else has.
Are there things that you want to see change? What are the primary things you want to see changed?
To me, I mean, most of the stuff that I don't like is outside of gameplay.
Is the UX stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't like the UX. I don't like the load times. I don't like the netcode. All those things are stuff like when I stream, I don't play the game online.
I feel like right.
I stream match analysis or I stream something else. I don't stream the game online because I don't like playing it online.
Yeah,
right? So I don't enjoy it, so I don't stream it online. Like, a lot of people play it all the time and they're so angry about it, and I'm like, it pisses me off, so I don't play it.
Because I think the gameplay is fairly subjective, but the objective stuff is the outside of the game, and that stuff is like, it's bad. And like, for me, I've talked about this a lot before, like, if they could fix that, I feel like half of the complaints would go away, because people would be like, you actually care. But, it is what it is.
Why?
You run out of time?
No, the thumbs up.
Oh, the thumbs up. The fucking thumbs up.
Man, the thumbs up. I mean, my theory on that is that Capcom, they want their game to seem like their players have social skills. They can interact and they're good on camera, so it looks very friendly. They're like...
that the minute that's fixed, like, people are going to complain it's gone. They're gonna be like, I miss it.
If you complain about thumbs up leaving,
they're gonna be like, I miss it from the stream.
I will come find you.
I miss it from the stream. I had somebody asking me about Marvel. They were like, can player 2, do you still have to do the thumbs up?
Oh, I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
I didn't even think about that. Man, I really hope that that's not the case. But yeah, I think I have all the same complaints that everybody else has, right? About stuff outside the game. Like, if you look outside of the gameplay, it's like it's like a mess out there, right? But if you look at the game itself, like, I think the gameplay is fun.
It depends who you play, because I play Akuma and he feels fairly creative. You play
Urian, who's super creative.
He's super creative.
Yeah. I think it's a blast. In Season 1, I played Ryu, and I thought he was really fun. And then by the end of the season, I was trying to learn how to play charge characters. So I picked up Guile and Urian, and then the next patch came out, and I was like, I should really keep playing Guile and Urian. Yeah. And Ryu just didn't exist. So I was like, this is great.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was very powerful.
So let me ask you a question. Any characters from the past, fun question, any characters from the past that you would love to see in the game?
So everybody says Sagat. That'd be...
Who?
Sagat.
Ah, Sagat, yeah.
Yeah, everybody says that character. But for me, I really want Eagle.
Eagle?
Eagle. I think he looks sick.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, he looks super cool. He's got the sticks.
Yeah.
And he looks... I like playing defensive kind of footsie style. And he looks like he has that big old sweep and all these range normals where he hits you super far. And he's got cool mix-ups and stuff. So yeah, but I honestly just want a lot of the returning characters. So I like that this season has new characters. But I kind of wish they had mixed it in with returning.
Yeah.
Like then one new, one returning, one new, one returning, right?
What do you think of Ed?
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think the character is an interesting attempt at making like a simplified like character to play.
It has the button input.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it's simplified. Like Infiltration.
He's definitely a hard character to play.
Didn't seem to think it was like
a beginner character. Right. But I think he's thinking about like succeeding with the character in tournament. I think if you're just hitting buttons, he probably feels really fun.
Okay.
But yeah, to me, like I think it's a cool idea. I think his gameplay is interesting. I don't think anybody has figured out what he's supposed to do yet. Like Colleen, I think now people understand sort of what the plan is. But Ed, I don't think, it's too early. Like nobody has figured out what the plan is.
Okay.
And I'm sure Infiltration will be backdashing and forward dashing
right.
and anti-airing and throwing fireballs.
When I saw his dash, I was like, this Infiltration's gonna love this.
Right. So, but I don't know exactly what his plan is yet. Like I haven't figured it out all the way. Like we can figure out what seems good and what seems bad, but formulating a strategy is much more complex than that.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff that whiffs as well based on ranges.
That sucks. That's like one of the most heartbreaking feelings as a player is when you do something and your attack just doesn't work or reach, or you do an attack on hit and you're punishable or something like those things always feel bad in fighting games. So he needs some quality of life changes for sure.
Yeah, I think when that happens, it'll be really strong actually. Now the 2.5 or 2.1 or whatever the hell this third, balance update was. A lot of things happened. The jump back OS disappeared. That was fairly significant for players. So yeah, just there's a reaction right there. So just tell me, how are you feeling about that balance update? What are the things that stood out most for you? And I guess which characters do you think will benefit the most? Yeah,
the thing to me is that when I was talking about removing crouch tech, that's one of the things that they did to weaken defensive options, along with make focus, or like focus isn't there anymore, so you can't like focus backdash or anything like that, right? So backdash is not invincible. Dragon punches are not invincible, and you took away Throw Tech OS, so there's almost no defensive option besides V-Reversal anymore. And they universally slowed down V-Reversals in the original season update, which I think is a bad choice too. I think V-Reversals being powerful would have been fine if you want to remove the rest of the defensive options, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I think that they like that area was a good middle ground. Like Throw Tech OS was a good middle ground between no defensive options and some defensive options, right? It wasn't quite Crouch Tech OS, and it was like kind of in the middle, and you could punish it if you were ready for it and you were good, right? Like seeing Punk do EX Tenko to punish it was sick, but now that stuff is gone, and I think that offense is going to be very powerful, and I think characters that build V-Gauge incredibly quickly, V-Reversaling will be very powerful as well, because gray damage stacks really easily in this season, so quick V-Reversals from characters that build tons of V-Gauge and don't need a trigger are going to be really good. But yeah, in this patch, I think a lot of the strong characters are still going to be very powerful. Remember when everybody was complaining about Urian?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really think he's that. And they were like, EX tackle, blah, blah, all that stuff. And then like a month later, they're like, nah, it's not Urian. It's Balrog and all these characters. Now I think that those characters, like the patch was reactive, and so now those characters stayed really strong. Like Ibuki wasn't talked about as strong until like maybe a couple months into the patch, and now she is going to be incredibly good. Rashid is very powerful, even though he lost a standing light kick anti-air. Guile is still great because people, when they think about character strength, they always think about they only think about seeing the red on the life bar and the explosive comeback potential. People often don't consider control as a very powerful thing, especially in a game like Street Fighter. And if you think about a character like Rashid,
5 in particular.
right? So if you think about Guile, or even like a Rashid character who has offense that you really can't escape or easily get out of. If you think about like a Cammy or a Karen, those characters are very controlling, right? They don't let you make a lot of mistakes in the neutral when you're good. Those are the characters that are very powerful but take more work, right? That's why I think Punk is so consistent. And that's why I think Balrog players are having trouble, because their character is very volatile. He's not as consistent or controlling. But that character's still really good too, so.
Yeah, they won their online matches though. He said, I don't know if he's stronger online.
Dude, I think online he is one of the best. Him and Bison are two of the best online characters.
I played the laggiest match of my life, and this one Balrog player had the best tech.
Yeah.
He just used tap.
Yeah, what are you going to do? No, I mean, online dash punch, instead of being -4, is more like +1. So, like, you just do it, and you just hit buttons after, and it's great. There's an online tier list and an offline tier list.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Things are important to remember.
All right, so let's get you on your way, because you got to go on a plane, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to real quick fire questions, I guess.
Okay.
You got a favorite TV show or movie or?
My favorite TV shows, and because I'm such a fighting game fan, I wanted to become a fighting game. Is probably Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I like horror a lot too. It's not as good as Avatar, but I really think that would be the sickest fighting game ever.
Okay.
I really want that to be a fighting game so bad, and Donka thinks it would be a bad idea. Donka, you're whack.
Okay.
Avatar would be a sick game. Right now I'm watching a lot of House of Cards.
Okay.
I'm a big House of Cards fan. I think that show.
You know that came from England, right? You know there's a British original. It's on Netflix. It was out when I was like way younger, when I was like your age.
That sounds whack. The new House of Cards is it's like The Office, where The Office in the UK is like super funny, but like the Americans never knew about it.
I'm just telling you, there's an English version. You should try it. You should check it out.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of House of Cards.
Way back.
Yeah?
Yeah. But yeah, House of Cards. You've been watching House of Cards. Is there any stuff that you do do you do outdoor activities?
So I used to do a lot of wrestling.
Really?
Not like
everything's fighting with you.
No, not professional wrestling, like WWE stuff. But I used to be a collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
So I was like, I also coached wrestling for a while, and so that's why I have like cauliflower ear. Like this ear is kind of mangled. The right ear is kind of mangled compared to the left. And I also
like rugby players have that.
Yeah,
and call it cauliflower ears.
Yeah, cauliflower ear, exactly. And my nose has been broken twice from it.
Really?
It's why my nose is not straight, and
Really?
I can't breathe out of one of my nostrils.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm a big wrestling fan. I like and I watch like March Madness and the Olympics for wrestling. But yeah, I mean lately I've been traveling so much that I don't do much. When I get home, my goal is to see the people that I never get to see when I'm traveling.
Okay.
So hang out with friends and family and stuff like that.
That's hard work. I mean, it's hard like finding the time.
Right.
Doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I basically have 2 days home a week, and in those 2 days, one of them is Tuesday, where I'm usually filming at ESL or doing like some kind of show or whatever, and then Wednesdays, Wednesdays is Wednesday night fights. So it's like I have to really figure out a time to do all of that. But yeah, I mean, I try to get out and do as much as I can, and escape from fighting games for a little while and work.
Favorite fighting game of all time? I guess the answer is like, no, I don't know favorite fighting game because I play all fighting games.
That's a good answer. My favorite fighting game of all time. I didn't realize this until recently, but the way I commentate KI is so much different than every other game. Yeah, because in KI, I sound way more like enthusiastic, I guess.
Passion is just coming through.
Yeah, I feel like KI is a game that I should solo commentate because I'm so excited I won't shut up ever. So like I can't do anything else. So it's probably Killer Instinct because that game just makes me feel a certain way when I see cool stuff. And it's the ultimate game of like, I know how you feel, so I'm going to do something about it. And that to me is like a game that I really love. So probably Killer Instinct of all modern fighting games, but the game I have the most nostalgia for is probably Marvel Superheroes because I remember playing it a lot as a kid.
Okay.
But yeah, like KI is probably my favorite modern game.
I need to check out, I actually have an Xbox One which is gathering dust, but I definitely need to check out KI because...
Play it on PC.
I've got to build my PC. I haven't built it yet. I've got all the pieces, I haven't built it yet. I'm going to stream soon. But Hisako interests me, but I also... That moment recently, a Combo Breaker was like hype. I didn't know what was going on exactly, and then I kind of figured it out, and then I was like, holy shit, that was amazing.
So I've never stood up during commentary in my life.
Okay.
I jumped out of my seat and screamed. That has never happened to me in commentary in my life. And if you watch the recipe, I have the one episode that came out today.
Yeah.
I did a Killer Instinct tutorial with Steve.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen it, it's very geared towards someone who knows fighting games but never has played KI.
Okay.
And I teach him Cinder. But Hisako is actually, I think, the most popular character that other people who don't play KI like. She's like the most popular character. And I think her design is really sick, so it's for good reason.
I think she's super sick. She's so original, and she's just crazy.
She's just cool.
Another question: Do you ever? It doesn't actually sound like you have time anymore, but you can tell me. Do you play other video games other than fighting games?
Yeah. So I didn't start playing fighting games until until around 2013.
Okay.
So I'm pretty new to the scene comparatively. I started watching in 2009.
Okay.
But I really only was a spectator until about 2013. I was like playing a little bit, but I was really busy with high school and like sports and academics and all that. So I was focusing on all that, so I didn't play as much. But what I used to play was MOBAs. I played a ton of League of Legends and a little bit of Dota. And I played tons of shooting games, so I used to be a big shooting game fan. Nowadays,
Call of Duty or CSGO or what?
I used to play a lot of Call of Duty and Halo and Gears of War.
What's your favorite Call of Duty?
My favorite Call of Duty is probably 4 or Modern Warfare 2, one of the two.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, both those. I think in Modern Warfare 2, I had like over 30 days game.
I love those games. They're so broken.
Yeah,
and awesome.
They're so silly and fun. That's what makes them fun.
Before Call of Duty started, because it was like Black Ops was the first one where they really started listening to the community and balancing it.
Yeah.
Before they started balancing it, they were so fun.
They were super fun, and I have I think combined, if you look at those two games, I probably have like 50 to 60 days worth of game time in them, which is like something absurd. But the game I probably have the series I have the most time in is probably the Elder Scrolls series. Okay. Like Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, I played to death.
What about now? Do you have any time now for other video games?
So I have a pretty strict rule. When I'm at home, I wake up in the morning and I stream or I handle emails and stuff like that. Okay. I handle work-related stuff. Okay. And I focus on fighting games until about dinner time. Post dinner time, I make it a rule to, if I want to play fighting games, I can, but I kind of like use that as my non-fighting game time. Okay. So that's how I structure my day. So I usually play, right now I'm addicted to Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Battlegrounds?
Yes. It's like sort of like H1Z1, but like 10 times better and more polished.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So H1Z1 is kind of a buggy mess of a game, but Battlegrounds I play a ridiculous amount.
I think I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and like it came out, and even around my travel and like the first 2 weeks, I had like 40 hours or something like that. Oh, okay. It was something absurd like that. Yeah, I'm playing that game a ton. So I play Battlegrounds a lot. If you play Battlegrounds and you kill Sajam or get killed by Sajam, it's definitely me. And don't tweet me about it, because I'll be pissed if you killed me. Yeah. That's the worst thing you can do. If you really want to make me angry online, this happens a lot. People play me, and it'll be like one game, right? And I'll hit rematch, and they'll leave, and then they'll tweet me, GG man, big fan. If you want me to hate you, that's the way to do it. At least play me the 2 out of 3 and then beat me up, and then I'll say GG.
Yeah, I wish there was. Oh God, sorry, you made me just go off on a. I'm not going to rant about. It's not going to be a rant.
No rant.
But I wish there was. I wish there was communication in Street Fighter 5. I wish you could message each other. I wish you could talk to each other. I think that was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. And it killed a lot of things. Even cross counter was more fun when they could like look at the salty messages.
It's all right. They have new, more fun shows. You can just watch those.
It's true. It's called The Recipe.
And the Reeds. The Reeds is really good too.
Yeah.
Because the Reeds is what would happen imagine if we never had net play for any fighting game ever, and in the year 2017 we could now play online.
Yeah.
Like it's like watching the growing pains that we've known for forever.
So they play MVCI on PC? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's on PC.
Is it
and
like an emulator or something? Or?
Yeah, I think it is. Okay. I'm not exactly sure the way it works, but like imagine if like you had never imagine playing a very technical fighting game and you only ever played.
Listen, I don't have to imagine it. I've lived through it.
Right, but
I remember when Third Strike was in the arcade. Right. I remember when like we had consoles at home and like.
Right. But what I'm saying is, imagine if you had never been able to play it online until this year. Yeah. It's like the Melee players are trying to play online and they're like, bro, I can't even like do the most simple thing ever. Yeah. And I'm like, how does it feel?
When you're seeing other people play online, I know what you're saying.
I'm like, how does it feel? Welcome to our life.
Yeah. Okay, one last question for you, which is the question I ask everybody. Is there anything you wish I'd asked you, or you have a burning topic or desire or something that you want to talk about?
Oh man, you saved the best one for last. We didn't talk about me as a player much, but that's a long time ago.
Well, when were you at your peak as a player?
Oh man, never. But I was probably 2014 or 15.
In which game? Killer Instinct?
Killer Instinct. Yeah, I was playing Killer Instinct and Injustice a lot. The very first tournament I ever went to, actually, I got 9th place in KI.
That's awesome, man.
The first major I went to. My pool, I played Justin Wong in winners finals. I was up a game, and I had a big old lead, and then he Justin Wonged me. and it's like the saddest moment of my life.
Yeah.
I still hate you, Justin.
Yeah.
And then I lost to Rico Suave in losers bracket. You guys have probably heard of him.
Yeah.
So that was my pool, and that was really sad.
Oh well. But then you decided, okay, I guess my life is commentary now.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that was what we should have talked about, is the transition from player to commentator. But I don't know.
It sounds like there's a lot of the same work goes in. If you're really trying to make it as a player, it sounds like a lot of the same study.
Yeah.
At least 50% of it, in terms of understanding the game.
Yeah.
Comes into it, because I know it seems to be like generally it's players that transition into commentary because they have like this baseline understanding of like that combo just got dropped, or
that Sonic Boom point blank was a V reversal.
Right. Exactly.
Like you understand because you played and you know what that is. Maybe the thing that we didn't talk about was probably working with other commentators and figuring out events and players and stuff like that. And the biggest thing I've been advocating for recently, you know that Smash.
Ooh, we're running out of battery.
Oh, how what does that mean? How long do we have?
That means we have like a few seconds.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the interview. Follow me on Twitter at Sajam.
I'll tell you what, you can visit the comments and you can write this. You can write in the special.
I'm gonna go catch my flight. I'll see you guys at CEO.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
It's
been
been
awesome.
awesome.